Hi, my name is Lulu, and I play a Revenant when I do PvE and a Ranger when I play World v World. And I have been playing the game since beta, and that's just Guild War 2 only. I have not played Guild War 1.
Alright, Mac, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Mac. I main a NG. I run Druid when I'm raiding. So those are my two main. I've been playing since beta. I've dabbled in Guild Wars 1 a little bit, but I never made it until I started playing Guild Wars 2. Yeah.
Alright, and my last guest at this time is already somebody who's been on the podcast before, is Vermin. Go ahead and introduce yourself again.
Hey everybody, kind of a new player. I've been playing for just over a year. I main Ellie and a Druid. I enjoy the kind of more dull aspects of the game, I guess. People would think I like the crafting and discovery and mapping, helping other people out. I'm not so much into raids or PvP, but I do participate.
Okay, and for myself, I am Nem the Fearless. I have been playing Guild Wars 1 for about 6 years. I joined in 2008. I quit about sometime mid-2013, came to Guild Wars 2, and I have been playing Guild Wars 2 ever since. And I main a warrior and a guardian. So, Lulu, you mentioned that you are a main Revenant, correct?
That's right.
Okay, and let's see. Let me put my thing on. Okay, so were you affected at all in your Revenant?
Believe it or not, no. In fact, currently they just said that they added some things rather than took away. And those are things that I don't use. I typically don't heal on my Revenant, so it didn't affect me at all, to say the least. As far as playing my Ranger, the changes that they made to the healing aspect, because I do heal with my Ranger or Hunter, they did do some changes which I think made the Druid a little, I don't know, it doesn't seem as fluid as it was before.
Well, on your Ranger aspect, how do you feel about the base attributes of your pets being reduced by 20%? Was that affected by you?
Yeah, actually it did affect a lot of things, because, it was a lot more helpful when it actually had that DPS aspect there, and it just almost makes the pet feel like a side piece of meat that you gotta drag around.
And what normally pets do you use?
Well, it depends. If I'm going to be healing, I will use, the Jacaranda typically. And if I'm in World v World, I will use my Smoke Skull.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And back to your Revenant, what stances do you use?
Typically, I will be using the Renegade stance and the Assassin stance.
Okay. So you don't use Demon, Dwarf, or Centaur stances?
Mm-mm. Typically, no.
Now, if you scroll down from the link I sent you, do any of the traits affect you at all? So Life Attunement, it gives you 120 healing power, and it converts 7% of your healing power to concentration. Do you use any of those?
No, I don't use any of those things, because those all came with their healing differences that they used. as far as that is concerned. Ooh, let me skip to the end here. And taking a look at my build, it doesn't feel like any of that was really affected.
Mhm.
So as far as it's concerned, at least this roll through with the patch,
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty unscathed. It feels like it stayed the same.
So you pretty much dodge a bullet.
Pretty much.
Now, if you had to, let's say, help improve the Revenant, how do you think they could improve Revenant in your case? What could they bring to the table
What could they bring to the table?
to help improve Revenant?
I see a lot of revenants, and this is not myself, although I'm one of those characters that if there's a weapon that you use, I have it in my arsenal, so I can readily grab it. Plus, I like to know all the things my character can do, whether it's with a hammer or staff or what have you. And I think that I don't know. I suppose the only way to do it would be like for PvE would make the hammer maybe a little more less clunky
Mhm.
feeling, probably, or at least increase the amount of, say, alacrity if you're going to give yourself alacrity for that kind of thing, or at least make it viable with a certain stance. So it seems like that's a weapon you can use because I don't know. Like I said, revenants seem to go for hammer a lot. I'm not sure why.
So you think hammers should get somehow incorporate alacrity into a skill?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Whether it's just like a combo finisher type alacrity, or just like the little burst that you can get from it.
Okay. Now, my last question before we move on to Mac is, how would you tell a new player who hasn't played Guild Wars 2 or even heard the game, what would you recommend them for Revenant? Would you recommend Hard Thorns, or would you recommend Path of Fire?
Oh, that's a good question. I think if I was going to recommend, like, if they had to choose between one or the other.
Because with Heart of Thorns, you get the Herald, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then with Path of Fire, you get, what is it, the Renegade?
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably would go with Path of Fire.
Okay, so you would recommend Path of Fire Renegade to a new player?
I would.
Okay. Mac.
Yes, sir.
And what do you mean? Howlsmith and what?
NG, and then I also do Ranger Raiden. So,
God damn, if I could find your engineer.
nice. I mean, they messed with the scrapper, which needed to be done because they were, especially in PvP, they were OP as heck. You couldn't kill them. So they did some changes to that. Although I don't main scrapper, but they did that. So, and like I said, I think that. And then when it comes to Ranger, I've had to relearn a little bit because with a lot of the changes they did to the Druid, it took a little while to get used to it, especially when they took away the Glyph of Empowerment and changed it completely, and then putting the Glyphs of the Stars. Trying to, figure out if that's really going to work, especially, because I only do my druid usually in raids, so it took a little while to get used to, and had to figure out if that was really even, you know, something that you want to use. Yeah, I mean, in raid, it's all circumstantial anyway, as far as what you want to run. But yeah, so.
Because looking at Glyph of Stars, already from what I'm reading here in the patch, it looks like it's pretty decent, pretty overpowered.
It's good. It's got a heck of a cooldown. So, it's got its benefits, and I have used it. But the cooldown is pretty long. And I don't remember exactly how long that was because I haven't raided in about 3 or 4 weeks. So, but no, I mean it does come in handy. There's sometimes when you want to use Entangle instead when it comes to raids and stuff like that. But I do like the Glyph of the Stars. I wish they would have kept the old Glyph of Empowerment, but I guess they don't like us giving, buffs to everyone.
Now, why? My question would be to you is, why do you think ArenaNet changed it?
I am not sure. I mean, the thing is I think ArenaNet is working to eventually, because see, I mean, they messed with the Mesmer first, because Mesmer was the one you wanted in your party because I mean it buffed everybody, and they started just completely annihilating the Mesmer when it came to being able to share all their boons and everything. So all of a sudden, they weren't OP like they used to be when it came to the boon share. So I don't know if they're just trying to balance out, like make it where, they only want certain characters to be able to do a little bit of share or what's going on. I'm not sure. I know that they've cut down on a lot of boon sharing. I do know that much because we've had to play around with, what we needed to bring in the raid just to make up for when they nerfed Mesmer and all that good stuff. So, but as far as why they're doing it, not sure yet.
All right, so last question before we move on. If you had to recommend a new player, same thing with Lulu, recommend a new player who's never heard of Guild Wars 2, would you recommend the core game for Engineer? Would you recommend Heart of Thorns for Scrapper? Or would you recommend Path of Fire for Hollowsmith?
If you're going out for profession, Hollowsmith all the way. Because any new player, I would think, would want to be able to do more DPS. Scrapper is more of a support bunker build. They have up the damage they do, but as far as what I would recommend as far as fun, Hollowsmith for sure. But if you're a brand new player, you don't want to main just base Engie because it's quite confusing unless you're just used to playing an MMO because with all the kits and stuff and Engineer, I would definitely go with Hollowsmith.
And I assume you, Vermin, you probably have nothing to add since you already mentioned in your last podcast, right?
Yeah, if you're gonna go elemental, be prepared to have a big learning curve. It's difficult to do well, run around a lot, don't get killed. I would go with Weaver to get your change on if that's what you want to do.
So let's talk about the patch that came out today. If you guys scroll up to the start, Apparently now we got a new legendary trinket, Vision.
Oh yeah.
So let's start off with you, Lulu. What do you think?
Well, I don't have too much to say on the subject. I probably won't be doing it. But let me take a real quick gander at it. I believe, if I understood it correctly, we'd have to do the sky skill stuff first, if that's right.
Correct.
And I'm planning on waiting a little bit and cool down. As far as the sky skill is concerned, I feel like it's like you're riding around on a brick. And I'm not really that impressed with it. So there's really no, I guess, unless it just becomes like an absolute requirement that I must get the sky skill, then maybe I might go for a legendary trinket.
And Mac, you said you already started on it, correct?
I have already started on it, yes.
And what's it like?
So far, I mean, I love collection. So, I mean, I've already got my sky skill done. And I love the sky skill myself. I know that there's a big divide between people liking it and people hating it. I prefer it. I mean, I always had problems with the Griffin. I mean, even though I learned it, I didn't care for the Griffin. So I think people that love the Griffin and always love the Griffin are probably going to love their Griffin over their Sky Scale. Where I'm the complete opposite. It's like I don't mind my Griffin, but I prefer my Sky Scale. I mean, that's just my observation. Could be completely off. But yeah, I've already started it. Of course, it's a bunch of collections. It's just like your first trinket that you did, but it's all season 4 stuff. So you have to. I mean, the reason you have to have your sky skills because you have to find some more rifts and hover on them and stuff like that. And then there's some other stuff that you have to get done. Like right now, I'm in Istan, and you have to have 6 of the Assortium weapons crafted, which I don't have crafted, so that's what I'm working on right now. But there is, for the first section of it, there is a collection for each season 4 map that you have to complete, and then of course it'll go on by that past that, but I have not got past that point. But I am all legendaried out as far as I can be at least, and so anything legendary I am always for because I will go get it.
And you mentioned earlier that you have to have the sky scale for the first collection, correct?
For each one, the each map you'll have, from what I've seen so far, you're going to have to find a rift.
Mm-hmm.
And so for each one of your for the first collection, there's I don't know how many collections are in like the very. Hold on, give me just a second here, and I'll tell you. So, Vision 1, there is 1 for each map, so that's 5 maps.
Yep.
No, there's 6 maps. Hold on.
Yeah, 6 maps.
Yeah, 6 maps. So, for each one of those maps, you're going to have to find a rift. So, you'll have to have your sky scale for every one of those maps. And then past that point, I don't know. But from the collection that I'm reading, there is a rift in every one of those maps that you have to find, which means you have to hover over it for a length of time, just like you did with the Dragon Blood and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So without the sky scale, there's no way to accomplish it. Since you can't take sky scales out of Dragonfall, there would be absolutely no way you can do it without your sky scale.
Okay. Vermin, do you have anything to chime in for the legendary trinket Vision?
I'm gonna try to do it. It would be my first legendary piece if I get it. So far, all of the sky scale stuff that they've put out has been moderately difficult to easy. I believe I could pull it off. Small note, that thing I was mentioning earlier about the Master of the Skies title achievement or Sky Scale Rider, it looks like in this patch they took it out of the game completely. The puzzles are still there. The hover over a rift and follow the path of magic is still there, but now the achievement block for it's gone. Kind of disappointed.
Rip. Alright, so for world polishes, apparently they've added Hero's Choice chests finally to the Doppelganger in Riverlands and the Joya Pinata.
Yay!
Finally.
Yeah.
Now they made it seem like doing the Doppelganger is finally rewarding.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I didn't even read it, but did they do that with every one of the Path of Fire maps, where when you do the meta, it's actually we're doing the meta?
I think it's just those two who have the Hero's Choices at the moment for Pinata and Doppelganger.
That's a shame. Because I would really like them to, really work on the Portal Spike in Desolation. Because I would love for that to be actually a good meta, but we'll see.
Oh, I think you're going to like the next thing that I'm about to tell you, Mac. Is now that they doubled the drop rate of LG mosaics from bounties now.
Oh, have they really?
Yep.
Oh, sweet.
They doubled from bounties and Path of Fire meta events.
That's really nice.
I know.
All for that.
Now, judging from my bounty train guys and legendaries, how much do you think my LGs are going to skyrocket?
Pretty. Yeah, I can see that happening.
Because, let's see. For my LGs already, I'm already past 8,000.
Crazy.
8,000. Pretty soon I'm going to have the Dragon Ball Z meme. It's over 9,000. What? So apparently also they significantly increased the drop rate of War Beast armor recipes from the meta event chests. Do you guys do anything War Beast armors?
Oh, I've got all the...
Yeah, unfortunately, I've already collected and built all of them to get the chance to get a ascended version of one of them. One of the pieces, I got the ascended chest for my druid through that. The Zatuka's guys. You have to collect each piece of War Beast for light, medium, and heavy armor to unlock the achievement to get the ascended piece. And you only get one, which kind of sucks. I thought it was going to be the whole set, but it's not.
And apparently they removed the daily purchase limit from the funerary something purchase with mosaics finally. Apparently there was a limit to how many you can purchase.
Yeah, the funerary incense.
Yeah. What was that?
Yeah, it was pretty restricted before. You have to have hundreds of them to get your gear piece that you're trying to get.
You can only purchase one time per day per account? What? That's terrible.
Yeah. It was pretty steep.
And of course the moment that we've all been waiting for is the Domain of Vabi, the Serpent's Eyrie meta event, finally got reworked.
That's good.
Reduce the base amount of control effects required to break the Defiance bars of the Vagan Zealots by 33%.
That's huge.
33%.
Well, heck, man, that it was a meta that, I mean, even though I enjoyed it and I beat it a couple of times, heck, you had to have 2 squads just to get it done.
Dude, you literally had to have a map full.
Yeah.
And the fact that now they have to reduce it by 33%, that's pretty bad if it had to be reduced by that margin.
Yeah, I mean, it was I mean, like I said, I mean, people just stopped doing it because it was just, I mean, unless you had, freaking 3 squads running, you couldn't do nothing. I mean, you couldn't, there was no way to achieve it, I guess you could say, unless you just, and I know they made it hard on purpose because, I mean, you always have, people that are like, we want hard content. Well, the problem with that is when they make hard content, they make hard content. But then all of a sudden, nobody does the hard content.
Because I can see why it was hard too. Because the next thing I'm about to tell you is increase the cooldown before the Defiance bars of the Zealots are active again from 10 seconds to 30 seconds.
Oh,
So that means when you break the blue Defiance bar, you only had a 10-second window before the blue bar came back.
right.
Now they upped it to 30 seconds.
I mean, like I said, I think it. I mean, hopefully, then people will actually do the meta. Like I said, I mean, the thing about the Pathfire maps is it's always lacked in when it comes to the loot, because you don't make any money. You can go to any other map and farm it, and make better mats and better gold. And so all of a sudden, these Pathfire maps, they're my favorite maps in the whole game. I love them, but they just don't pay out.
Well, and the fact that they increased the rewards for all of the events in the meta.
Yeah.
What I don't get, though, is why the 2 legendaries' base health has been reduced by 10 to 15 respectively. Like, I didn't see that they were hard at all to begin with. I don't know why you had to reduce their health. They're legendaries for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, the bars was the only things that, I mean, I think reducing, how much it took to break the bars so that you could actually do it with a group. I mean, I think that was fine. I don't think you need to reduce, like, the main bad guys. But, that's just me.
I think it was just the Defiance bars of the Zealots or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's what really irritated a lot of people, don't you think?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that's where everybody would fail. I mean, every time, that's where it failed. If you just didn't have that organized group that you looked for. Because, I mean, people don't, even if you had really good CC, heck, you had to have 50 people over there knowing what CC was and have, what attacks did their CC, and you had to be on point. I mean, it was big heavy when it came to that.
Well, let's go to the next one. Riverlands apparently increased the rewards for group events in the Path of Ascension meta event.
Sweet.
The chest rewarded for defeating Joso can now be looted once per character per day instead of once per account per day.
Nice.
And finally, they significantly increased the drop rate of the mini Mordant Crescent from the legendary Osa bounty.
Oh.
So now apparently we're probably going to be seeing a lot more miniatures now since it's been significantly increased. Let's see. Ooh, Mac, you did get your wish. They did add the Desolation Heroes choice chest now.
Good.
From the Janindu meta event. Pretty much the same thing. They increased 2 miniatures significantly from certain events. Desert Highlands. I really didn't do anything in that map to indicate worth talking about. Do any of you 3 have anything?
Not I. Hold on.
No, I'm just glad that they did what they've done so far.
Let's see. Finally, Crystal Oasis got LG Mosaics as a reward for defeating the Choya Pinata.
Yay! I like the choya.
The pinata one.
Yeah, I know. I like the fight.
Not
I think it's
not the distraught one.
fun. You do have to do a lot of work to get to that point, though. But yes, it's fun if they've made it more enticing for people to do. Then probably more people will get it done, and they can use the currency, the coins, to get the stuff that's inside the casino.
Do you think it was worth it to make a Choya pinata to give mosaics finally?
Why
I
not? I
sup-
mean,
Yeah,
I mean, I granted it is a legendary, but I don't know. That's just me, though.
I mean, I'm sure you've done the choya, right?
Who hasn't?
I love the choya.
Well, some people haven't.
I did one
Wait.
very, very late last night, and he made it to the end of the bridge and it failed.
Oh,
Sure
Oh
it is.
no.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the time of day. There wasn't enough people like it.
Oh, wow.
I think I got to a point where ours was like maybe less than 5% health, and it got across the bridge. I was like, come on. Let's see. Apparently in Dragonfall, they fixed an issue in which escort events could stall out at the bridges depending on their build state.
Yeah.
Oh man. Did anybody notice an issue with the Dragon's Spear special action skill remaining after the completion of the meta event? Anybody notice that?
I didn't have any problem with it.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
It's pretty weird that apparently it had to be fixed.
Apparently somebody was having problems with it.
Let's see, Fresh Gorge. The Clara Jormag will now encase players in ice on defeat if they are working on the Sky Scale of Ice achievement.
Yeah, he didn't encase me in ice at all. I had to hit a big elemental monster there after the fact to get the achievement, but it did.
So it didn't really encase you in ice?
No, the Jormag fight at all didn't. Nobody got encased in ice at all. It was you had to beat up what was it?
Like ice
An
on
elite ice elemental or something like that. There was a bunch of these big elemental guys hanging out after the fight, and if you were to go fight one of them, then they would encase you in ice and it would work.
So,
Yeah, I had to do the same thing. Yeah.
so do you think it's a bug? Do you think it's just a random thing?
It was probably a bug.
I would be guessing you're right.
Apparently I don't want to read all this item stuff.
I'm sitting here looking for something that I cannot figure out where it's at. It's completely off topic. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Do
So,
you guys remember that stupid multi-tool that you had to use in freaking Daybreak
not
to get the? Yeah. I haven't used it in so long. I don't know where the heck it's at.
probably might have to put it in the search bar.
Your multi-pass.
Yeah, it's got to be on a character. I just don't know which. Problem is, I got too many darn characters.
So apparently they added a sky scale chair. Have y'all seen that thing?
I own it. What are you talking about? Heck yeah, I got it.
I'm totally not getting into it.
I own all the chairs. What are you talking about?
I don't even consider that a chair, Mac.
That is the coolest chair ever. What do you, especially being a chowder, I'm just saying. I mean, I look all right sitting by that one.
No,
These
no,
other
no.
chairs, man, I look kind of funny. Just, yeah, we're gonna be straight up with you. You put the club chair on the chowder, oh man, that's hilarious looking.
Let's see. Apparently they fixed the Black Lion Explorers thing for your home instance thing.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty cool actually, because it's just one board now.
Oh God! Finally, they fixed that thing.
So all three, like if you own all three boards, um, it's all three boards are together, so it's just one board, and you just you go over there, and then it's got three different selections. It'll say like season 4, season 2, whatever it is, and you just pick that, and then you get to pick from that, what currency you want given to you.
And now that you can select some season 4 stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think I sent mine to either Sandswept Isles or the first map.
I did. I did. Istan, yeah.
And also now, instead of getting 2 separate mails, you're just gonna get now a single delivery mail.
Yep. Yep. It's just one box, and all the stuff's in the box.
Thank God.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was a nice change. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's see. Apparently, Mistborn Keys has been also added as a new option to the Lockbreaker kit.
What's been added?
Mistborn Keys?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And of course, my internet wiki's being slow, so rip. Apparently, they added a reminder text to the mount skins available for the Warclaw mount pack. I don't know what's that about. Do you guys know what that's about?
I do not know what that's about.
You can apparently build different armor things for your, looks for your mount, and they'll probably sit on the side like your other wardrobe items, like your music instruments or dance moves or whatever, and easily overlooked. So they put in something to make sure you remember that.
Apparently, from the guaranteed wardrobe unlock, they had to remove the stellar weapon set. I don't see why you'd have to remove something.
Yeah, I don't know why'd they have to remove.
Apparently, they had to fix your Springer Mac.
There was an undieable streak or something like.
Yeah, fix an issue with the alloyed Irontail Springer skin that caused an undieable streak to appear when using the charge jump.
Oh, well, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I like how somebody must have took the time to notice the streak.
I know. I'm like, I don't. But that's my Springer for my engineer for sure. So, yeah. I wonder if you can just buy one dang thing. Let's find out.
Let's see. I think we pretty much covered everything in this patch, unless you guys want to talk about something that I maybe missed that sparked your interest.
Let's see.
Path of Fire Hero's Choice chests are now guaranteed to give 3 pieces of rare gear. An offering of an amalgamated gemstone replaces the choice that was previously a piece of rare gear. These chests will be obtainable once per account per day. So it's pretty much the same thing with Heart of Thorn stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, I have no issues with that. This thing isn't buy it. Sorry, talking to myself again.
No worries. Lulu or Vermin, do you have something that I probably missed that probably is interesting?
There it is.
Oh, it's pretty thorough. The new trinket looks like you have to do chapter masteries to progress It looks like that's going to be kind of difficult, but worth it. Worth it.
By the way, I also noticed I don't see a patch related thing. I'm not sure if we talked about it, but something about the sky scale for the 28th.
Sky stuff with
Yeah, something that was reduced from 24 hours to 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. So in the first part of the quest, you have to, for the achievements, you have to wait the full reset day to do the next step. So they've reduced that from the full day to just 2 hours.
Did that come in this patch that I didn't see, or has it not been released yet?
That I don't know because I've got my sky scaled up. So,
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't in the patch notes, but they said it was supposed to happen today.
Okay, so it's supposed to. So, oh, it
I
is
guess-
out. Okay. Kind of wish they would put that in the patch so people new to the game would know that it's 2 hours now instead of a reset.
Right, because who wants to wait that long?
oh, I waited that long. It wasn't that bad.
I'm kind of an ADD player.
Well, considering a lot of people were complaining about it.
Oh, I know they were, but I've played MMOs for a long time, so I guess it just doesn't bother me. It's like time gates are just part of it. That's the whole point. You're not supposed to get it like right now.
Yeah, but like, you got those grinder people who just want to come in, get it now, and go on to the next thing, whereas they find out something's time gated, they're just like, eh.
Yeah, well, I mean, patience is a virtue, young grasshopper. And that's just the way I see it. I mean, call me an asshole, I guess. But it's just like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. But that's just me, and that's, just the way I am. So
It's like what you said about patience or whatever. It's like, oh, if you can take this pepper from my hand.
But,
I think it's kind of a bummer, those kind of players. I mean, more power to you. Play the game like you want. It's your game. But the people that come in just whenever there's something new and they do the new thing and then you don't see them again for 6 months. There's a lot of that, in every MMO game. And those are the guys who are bitching the most about it. It's like, you don't even regularly play this game anymore because you're so hot shit. You have everything. You've been there since whatever. So bad.
yeah, I mean, I've been playing it since beta. But it's just like, I don't expect things to be done in one day. That's why, I get bored and what do? I go make a legendary. Because, I don't want something that I can get done all in one day. I like the progression. That's why I like collections and stuff. So, and I know that, I'm one type of player. But
if it's not difficult, it's not memorable.
Right. Yeah. But that's just like I said. That's my take on it. And I know there's all sorts of different people that have different views and maybe different goals than I do. So I don't diss it. It's just when it's one thing out of the whole game, give it a break. And that's the way I see it. I know
I'm not
Lulu
saying
doesn't like me.
that I am not for the waiting game necessarily. I don't mind waiting for things. It's just at the very beginning, I realize there has to be like a summit, that you have to climb and get to. And I guess maybe after a few more steps, I would expect that wait. But just, right off the bat, it's a little like, meh.
Why should you have to wait so long for your flying brick, right?
I know. Why do I have to wait so long for my flying brick? You said it perfectly.
So is there anything else that I probably missed, guys, before we go on to the next subject that I might have missed in this patch notes?
I don't think so.
Did you see
We
anything?
did it all.
Did you see anything, Vermin or Lulu?
I didn't see anything.
So apparently, a researcher has begun investigations into the Mystic Forge secrets. Anyone do that stuff?
I don't know about secrets. I mean, I think that kind of thing is very interesting. It's a neat part of the game where it's undocumented, kind of, and you might get to discover something cool and unusual.
Well, I was already in the game doing it, and I think it was a scam. Just from my point of view, because some researcher dude was next to the Mystic Forge, and I seen it at the time like somebody, or well, not somebody, a group of people donated over 5,000 mithril ingots, and the orange bar barely even moved. And it just kept repeating the process over and over every like 5 minute countdown with the orange bar finally full. I was just, wow, this is a scam.
What is supposed to happen?
Apparently, after the event, the only thing it gave me after my donation was an essence that gave me 5,000 karma. So I think it's not a good thing. I think it's a scam if you're just donating your stuff for karma.
Like a gold sink kind of thing?
Yeah. And Drizzle said that he donated, I think, 15 to 30 golds worth of mithril ingots.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this. Is it an NPC or is it a player?
Yeah, it was an NPC that was standing next to the Mystic Forge that was requesting some mithril ingots being donated. And it was like one of those things that would fill the orange bar per mithril ingot donated or whatever. And it was just going up so slow. I even started at one point, it was at 7,200 something before the countdown ended, and it just barely even moved. I was like, God damn, this is a scam.
Is he still there, or did they?
No, it's over.
Huh? Yeah, I didn't know nothing about that.
Um,
Just what I pay attention to.
but Jesus, whatever you do, if you want to be scammed, go for it. If not, keep your gold.
Oh, I don't spend my gold on a lot of things other than legendary stuff.
But yeah, don't waste your time with the researcher dude unless you want to be scammed and just get 5,000 karma for your donations.
No thanks.
No thanks.
Had my fair share of scams. Yeah, I did give the guy at the circus some money once. He didn't do nothing but laugh at me, so.
Alright, so I take it Mac and Lulu, you've already done the story, so you ain't gonna be spoiled by anything, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm caught up on this stuff.
Yeah.
So let's start with you, Lulu. Do you think it was too soon, or do you think it was okay and just right to bring Aurene back?
Actually, I like the way they did it. So, I was perfectly fine with bringing Maureen back, just how they did it.
And what about you, Mac? Do you think it was a good idea to obviously have her come back, or do you think it was too soon?
Well, the way I see it is this. Okay, so first of all, yes, I think it was a good thing that they brought her back, and it was a good thing that they brought her back the way they brought her back. Even though people, called it out, because the thing is, I mean, if you really think about it, if they didn't bring her back, then everything from Path of Fire, from Heart of Thorns was a waste of my time. A complete waste of my time, right? So, protecting the egg, there would be absolutely no replay value on it at all, because, the thing's just gonna die, what's the point, right? So, I think that was a good thing, and then, same thing with Joko. If Joko had absolutely no place, no reason to why we had to fight him in the first place, okay? Well, then why did you guys stick him in there in the first place, right? So I think the way they did it was actually very smart, because everything you've done up to this point had a reason. It had a purpose. You know, you don't feel like you were. That there's no part of any of the stories since this point where I feel like, well, that was stupid and a waste of time. That had absolutely no impact later on, right?
Right.
So I do believe that it was a very smart and good idea because of that, because it all wraps into each other.
Yeah, it was totally worth it, and it was I think they fixed the story well. I didn't even mind that it happened, right at the beginning of the chapter. That was kind of nice. It was a nice. Afterwards, I played the last two chapters again on a different character, and I was mentioning this to them the other day. In the previous chapter, Keith gets a new purpose in life by becoming the translator for Aurene. She turns blue and she gets sparkly flowers, and it's a big deal. It's like, oh, I have this new purpose. And then as soon as the new chapter comes out, Aurene can talk for herself. It's like Kate's have a job.
And if I can just piggyback off of that, I'm wondering, and this is just my theory. Okay, so Aurene is a Elder Dragon now, right?
Yes, now.
So, right. So I've got a feeling, and this is just a theory, but I think that we're going to hear from Aurene, but not physically. I think we're going to hear, because at the very end of the story, Kate, sits there and talks about how she can still feel her and everything, even though she's freaking, a star now, way, way above. So I think because of the connection with Keith and Aurene now, that we're going to get more about Aurene and what's going on with Aurene through Keith. That's what I think. So I don't think it's something that is wasn't well thought out. I think there's more that's coming with it. At least I'm hoping.
Now my question would be, was it pointless for Kate to become, I guess you can say, a speaker through Aurene, even though the next episode just made her talk? So do you feel like it was a waste of time to go with that angle and then just sweep it under the rug and just have Aurene finally talk now?
Well, there's a couple of different things that I could say about that. Like I said, I think going forward, I think that we're going to know more about. I think we're going to hear from Aurene through Kate going forward.
Okay, so going forward.
Right. Another thing is I think there's a part of it where they made her talk because the amount of lore that was put out, about, how Kralkatorrik was and where he was coming from and, the whole grandfather thing, all that. What are we going to do? Put Keith on her back? How stupid would that look? If Keith had to be with us through that whole thing so that we could hear the story, that's just pathetic. That would be sad, right? Here, jump on Aurene so I can understand this thing. You know what I mean?
True.
And so, but
Should be a new headpiece for the Aurene cult, right?
Right. So I think, so if they don't go going forward where we hear from Aurene through Kate, I think if it was badly done, that they figured out that, okay, well, we can't have Keith in the Commander's ear the whole time. He's going to be riding Aurene. What, we're going to put Keith on the back of him too? For what reason? But I really think that it's more thought out. So I think that we're going to, like I said, I think going forward, we're going to hear from Aurene through Keith. So I don't think it's a lost cause. And I think it's been thought through more than what we think. And that's just, I'm hoping that at least. I would be really sad if it was just like, oh yeah, well, we don't want Keith with them all the time. That would make me sad.
By the way, to the audience that are watching, if you guys are being spoiled or you haven't played the last chapter, might as well leave now because we're going to reveal some spoilers. So just a fair warning. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is when we fly into the mist with Aurene. We'll start with you, Lulu. Uh, what did you think of that full-on scale of Kralkatorrik?
I thought it was one of the coolest things I've ever done in the story.
I mean, we actually got a full-size scale dragon, minus Zaitan, because we've seen what he looks. But just the fact that we got up close and personal with Kralkatorrik.
I thought that whole entire thing was the most awesome thing. And just all the little fights in between and everything going up to the very end. It actually made you sort of feel a little empathy for Kralkatorrik and his position and what happened to him. And I probably took like 100 screenshots.
It was beautiful.
It really was.
So Mac, what do you think of full-scale Kralkatorrik finally?
Oh, I loved it, man. I've played through it 3 times now, and I'm still working on the achievement to where you have to freaking blow up 3 of the weak points when you're flying. That's freaking hard, but no, I love it. I mean, they really impressed me. And I would think they impressed. I mean, the thing is this patch, they pretty much gave us everything that everybody wanted. You know, we all wanted to ride our rating. We all wanted a full-size scale dragon. You know, I mean, and then we even got a fight on the back of it. I mean, you know, the whole new map is, you know, the back of Kralkatorrik. So, I mean, you know, I think they blew it out of the water in my personal opinion.
Because I want to take you both back to the Path of Fire story, the expansion when it came out. When you're at the end and you're fighting Balthazar, what were your both impressions of just the face alone when you looked back and you saw just the face of Kralkatorrik on that huge ass scale of just his face? What do you think, Lulu?
It looked pretty awesome as far as just seeing the face. It was like, what is this thing going to look like? Like, how massive is this? And what are we in for?
And what do you think, Mac?
Well, see, when it comes to that, I mean, back then, before now, it's like, you know, I loved just, you know, seeing his face. I did not expect us to ever get a full scale. I mean, if you want to know the truth, I didn't know if they had it in them. You know, I mean, because we sat there and fought 2 Elder Dragons before, right? I mean, we did Zaitan and we did Mordermoth.
Yep.
And both of them, you know, were, yeah, I mean, as far as being dragons, it didn't feel like a dragon to me. I mean, even Zaitan, yeah, it was weak in my opinion, right?
Well, yeah,
And
because you just kill him with laser cannons, magic cannons, I guess you could say.
Right. So, and I knew they had learned from, you know, those, but I didn't know if they actually had, you know, if they were bold enough, okay, to actually, you know, put it in there. And I am so glad they did. You know, that they sat there and they went out on this limb, and I know that the amount of time and effort to make sure that the programming goes right in that scene.
Because I'm pretty sure they don't want another incident with the 2012 Zaitan fight.
Right. And so yeah, I mean, I was completely, like I said, I mean, I expected at the max to fight his face. I mean, you know, that's what I really figured we were going to fight. Is you know, we were going to get, you know, kind of like, you know, right before where he got stuck in the episode 5. You know, where we were fighting there. I really thought we were going to kill him off there. I didn't think. I mean, you know, I figured, and that was epic in my opinion too. I was like, heck yeah, man, we got to fly over him and stuff. But then they took it the next step further. And yeah, I mean, I have been quite impressed with this season. I mean, most definitely.
All right, so my next question for both of you: during that fight, when it was time to leave the instance, where it was time to, I guess you could say, clip his wings, and the fact that Aurene blew off his wings, or his wing, sorry, and he just fell down through the portal that Aurene made and landed in the water. What was your reaction to that, Lulu?
Um, as far as him landing him, I don't know. It was a little, I guess, anticlimactic, but I think everything else made up for it.
Because mind you, Krakatoric is 20 times the size of Glint. So can you imagine that Aurene is just a fraction of Glint? So maybe compared to Krakatoric, maybe he's 30 times her size, something like that maybe. And the fact that she had enough energy to fire a blast that could clip his wing and blow it off, like, wow. What do you have to say, Mac?
Oh, it didn't bother me. I mean, did you see the damage we were doing when we were just doing our basic attack?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, her little basic attack was freaking just OP as heck. So, when it was just like, all or nothing, man, when we got to put it all in there, or we just got to give up.
But mind you, though, that was the fight with the last episode where we, I guess you could say, took out his eye, and he was still gravely injured, but he still somehow managed to survive.
Right.
So now he's still somewhat weak from that fight, but he's in the mist now. He's trying to get magic back.
Right.
So
we've done beat the son of a gun up a lot. And even when we clipped his wing, he still didn't die on us.
well, I mean, I don't think any dragon is just going to die without a wing. They're just going to plummet. Alright, the next scene is where you gotta close the 3 ley lines and stuff, and you find Krakatoric's face unconscious, but he's still consuming magic. Can you, elaborate on how you think an Elder Dragon can still consume magic, even sleeping? Lulu?
It was his torment inside of him that was trying to keep him alive.
Oh, it was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Torment itself. The one that we had to beat up.
Now, what did you all think when you're flying inside Krakatoric, and it doesn't look anything like the outside of him? Like, do you think we are in a different dimension or something? Because that's just crazy to think that we're inside Krakatoric and it looks like a dimension or something.
It did kind of feel that way, like we've been transported somewhere else, and I think that's what they meant for it to feel like, as far as...
For real, absolutely, I agree. I mean, if you think about it, he, what he could do on the outside of his body, he could go to the realm of the different gods, he could go to the underworld, the mists and all that stuff. Imagine what he could do on the inside of his body, where he's got even more.
Now, do you think he also had a split personality between good and bad? Because when you're in that instance, he's like, oh, child of my child. But then when you're fighting the torment, it's like he doesn't want you there. And it's like, well, didn't you want me here first to begin with? And now you're telling me to go away? Granted, that's his torment.
He was totally having like a dementia thing going on. He's super old and super damaged and beat up from the fight and all that stuff. And he's been under control of that torment for who knows how long to make him into a bad guy, quote unquote, right? Maybe that's the thing that woke him up in the first place to get him to do bad things.
Probably. But like, because he's absorbed the magic of Balthazar. He's absorbed the magic of Mordramoth, and he's also absorbed the magic of Zaitan. Do you think that had anything to do with his torment? Lulu or Mac?
Without a doubt.
Because
I
you
mean,
can only
you got
consume
that
magic for
madness
so
going on.
long.
Right.
You still with us, Mac?
I am.
I didn't know if you wanted to chime in on if you think the three magics were somehow tormenting him.
Well, I mean, I think they were definitely tormenting him. I think they were mentally messing him up too. But at the same time, I mean, even before Krakatora, got all three magic. I mean, he was always an a-hole. I mean, let's get real. I mean, I think what it came down to, or the way I took it, is like, he knows he's gonna die. Okay, and so we're gonna be kind of nice, I guess. But the guy was always an asshole. I mean, he killed Glenn. I mean, that was before he had any of the other magics. So he was never a nice guy.
Nice guy.
So, I think it did mess him up, and I think it made him where he just wanted to destroy everything. So I think it messed him up in the head. But I think he was always, a dragon that was a greedy, SOB that just, was going to do his thing, and it just, heightened that. It took me a little while. That's one part of the story that took me a little while, because it's like, I don't feel sorry for you, dude. I just want to stick this in your heart. It's like, I do not feel sorry for you.
Wow, Mac. Wow.
I know.
Heartless.
Savage.
Hey, he's done destroyed more than his share of my fellow warriors. I don't care. You mean nothing to me.
All right. Probably the last final story thing that I want to talk about is Aurene is now an Elder Dragon now.
Mm-hmm.
Hooray!
So now she's no longer a baby. She's no longer a young adult. She's now a full-fledged Elder Dragon.
This is correct.
Now, what did you guys think of that cinematic?
Oh, I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I thought
mean, she looked like I mean, I love the way that they did her. I mean, she looked like a freaking, a straight up. I don't know, man. She looked freaking cool.
looks like a straight up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that. A true crystal dragon.
And the fact that she goes up to the stars and then swooshes on down into the sunset.
I liked that ending. I thought it was really cool, and I actually stayed and watched the whole entire. Like, I took in all of the scenery, all of everything, and the work that they did for probably like a good hour, and I can't see that about anything I've ever done in this game, like ever.
I can't
I
help but
really-
imagine that she's gone on to like Dragon God School now.
I have ascended.
Now, I'm not sure if either of you caught this, but when you kill Krakatork, he says mother. Any takes on that?
Yeah, he forgot the F word afterwards.
Oh, Mac, we got a comedian over here. No, I take it as he had a mother at one point, and he maybe either killed her to become an Elder Dragon himself, and now he's being killed by his granddaughter, which now she's an Elder Dragon. That's my take on it. Because why else would you, with your last dying breath, you just go mother?
Well, maybe it's just kind of going back to the whole, dying on a battlefield and calling out for your moms kind of thing.
Or maybe a theory could be like maybe his mom at one point was an Elder Dragon, and then maybe he killed her to take her place.
Possibly.
Well, I mean,
There's a regret there.
I think the way I look at it, and I'm echoing for some of Mike, is it is interesting to me that he's he has a mother, right? I mean, he's an elder dragon, so you would, it's like, I mean, were elder dragons just here, or were they birthed? Well, if he's got a mother, then that kind of answers that question. So there was a dragon before him, okay, one that we've never even heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the lore of the elder dragons, that's something that we don't know. Okay, I mean, he had a mother. Nobody, we know nothing about a generation of dragons before the ones we know of. So, what don't we? And that's kind of how I took it.
Easy to imagine with all the different realms and stuff that Kralkator go through. There's probably like one that you don't know of, like Dragon Heaven or something like that, and he was seeing his dead mother as he was dying or something like that.
Yeah.
But do you think maybe at one point his mother was an elder dragon, maybe at one point, and he went through, I guess you could say, a phase and killed her, absorbed her magic, and then grew to his size and become the next elder dragon?
So basically, absorbing her.
Yeah.
The old Sith rule of two.
Yeah, right. It's possible. I mean, we can only, because we don't really know much about his mom or how he, where he came from. It would be really hard to kind of, I guess.
I mean, it would make a little bit of sense, because we have the part where he's like, he's sitting there talking to Lorraine, saying, I hope that you just never have to kill one that you love. So, that is, I never thought about that theory, but yeah, I mean, maybe he did kill his mom to become the elder dragon. I wouldn't put it past him.
Now let's just assume for a fact, that's just for Kralkator. Can you imagine maybe if Zaitan had a mother and maybe he killed mother just for shits and giggles and became elder dragonish?
Dragons either young?
I mean, because let's face it, they had to be young maybe at some point, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, you can't just be born straight an elder dragon. You have to start somewhere down low class and then just go on a quest to kill your parents, I guess.
Well, I mean, you say that, but the Safari completely pulled around. But I mean, I think that's what I took out. It's like, oh, okay, so he did have a mother. So he had to be a young dragon once, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because he was birthed. So I mean, and that's what I took out of it. It's like, okay, I mean, there's stuff that we don't know. So, and I'm hoping that, the next season will at least give us a little glimpse. I mean, there had to be a reason they made him say mother. I mean, there had to be a reason.
Apparently I'm having technical issues with echoing.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too.
I don't know why. We were fine throughout the whole stream, and now all of a sudden we're echoing.
It seems like that sometimes happens when somebody has an open mic. Like,
It makes Lulu sound like she's speaking from her grand hall or auditorium from Opera Theater.
oh, bow before me.
Yeah, totally. See, that's awesome.
So is the echoing for you guys too?
You do not echo, just us three, and only sometimes.
Okay. Shit, I don't even remember what we were talking about.
We're
Talking about Kralk's mommy.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's go to the next subject. Vermin already knows probably what I'm going to show, but is anybody, Lulu or Mac, are you Masat fans?
Only when I killed her.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You have to watch the YouTube channel to see what he.
So, Mac or Lulu, are you Mossad fans?
No.
No, I never even. I mean, I never even knew much about the Mossad before you know we had to deal with it. So,
Alright.
but they were cool, but I've never been a huge fan because I didn't even know about it. So,
Alright, so, well, obviously, since you have Heart of Thorns, I assume you were for Season 3, Episode 1?
oh yeah, I've done every episode.
Alright, what about you, Lulu?
Yes, I have done every episode, although it was a while ago, but yeah.
By the way, do you have my YouTube stream up on your end?
On my end, no.
Yeah. Probably pull it up so I can show you the video of what I'm going to do.
Okay.
You too, Mac.
Alright, hold on. I'm getting eaten up by these freaking Ickabogs.
Ichabod?
That's what I call them.
What does that mean, Matt?
Ichabod crane or whatever that's I call Ichabod.
Is that your term for, well...
It's those stupid plant people.
Oh,
worms.
them.
Ichabobs.
Oh.
Alright, hold on. Okay, so I gotta pull up your dilly bobber. Alright, hold on. I gotta go to YouTube, is that right?
Yep.
Alright, I'm there, sir.
Alright, give me one moment.
Alright,
Well, hold
one
on.
moment is over.
No,
Alright.
I'm not there yet. Alright.
Alright, you there?
Um,
I'm there.
I am not.
Lulu, you're
Send me
fired.
a link.
Well, I'm on YouTube. What do I need to type in here?
Nope. You just have to be on my channel. Did you click the link that's in lobby?
Oh no.
Yeah, click the
Oh,
link.
Okay, hold on. Oh, hold on. I got an Ichabod eating my butt. Hold on.
Oh,
Sorry, everybody, we're having technical difficulties again.
good.
Yeah.
Strike two.
Okay,
Alright, so you got my link up that's in lobby?
I now do.
Alright, what about you, Mac?
I gotta get to lobby. Hold on. Boom. Alright. Okay, yes, I'm here.
Alright.
See you.
Now tell me, what was your reaction when you guys saw this? Hopefully the audio won't come in too loud.
I got you muted. Do I need to
You
unmute?
are a heretic, Cordicus, and you shall need no white mantle, for I am their god. What? It can't be.
What did you all think about that?
I thought he looked like a really cool floaty guy.
Dude, I shit you not, when that came about, because I am a huge Mossad fan, and when I saw that, I was like, it's a Mossad. It's like, oh my god, they're back.
There we go.
And Vermin already knows when the outfit came out in the gem store, I pulled out my credit card so fast. I pulled out my credit card so fast. So, Mac, what did you think about that when that scene happened?
I said it.
Oh, you
He
did?
looked like a really cool floaty guy.
And you didn't even know it was a Mossad.
I didn't know what Marcel was, no.
I thought you played Guild Wars 1, Mac.
I dabbled in Guild Wars 1, but I didn't play Guild Wars 1 until Guild Wars 2 because I wanted to get my Hall of Monuments. So,
You
He tickled it a little bit.
and of course, Lulu, you don't know nothing, right?
No, I know nothing.
I don't know nothing. Alright, so if you guys are still on my channel, I got 2 videos left.
I'm here.
Yes, I'm
looking
still
at
there.
the Smile.
You still there, Mac?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alright.
Mm.
Hey, we got 7 people watching this. How do you like that?
Gasp! It was Balthazar all along.
Oh no!
So who saw that coming?
Negative, not I.
Do you think it was a pointless twist or whatever to have a god come back?
Well, see, that depends. Is it going to play into it further down the line? Because so far, that's the only fight where it's like, well, what was the point of that? So I don't know if we're going to go into the human gods more, or because I mean the whole Balthazar thing. That is one thing where it's like, well, I mean, yeah, he wanted to kill the dragons and all this good stuff, and maybe that was just their way of trying to get past the whole human god thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if that's what it was, it's pretty weak. But I mean, I'm hoping that there's a little more. I hope it wraps around, and there's a little more to it than just we didn't like Balthazar's ideas, so we put him in the mist and said, have a good life, and then we mess everything up. I mean, if that's the story arc, that's fine, but it is a little weak if that's all it is, in my opinion. What do you think?
I personally, same thing again. When I was all like, "Oh my God, we're gonna find out who's really Lazarus, who's faking this thing," and then all of a sudden it was like Balthazar, and I was like, "No fucking way," because I'm a huge Guild Wars fan, and obviously I know the lore pretty well, so I was just like, "Whoa, it's Balthazar! What the fuck?"
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I had that moment too.
What's he
when
doing
it's like,
here?
oh, heck, we're going to have to fight a god? How in the heck are we going to do this one? And it was epic, in my opinion. I had fun with it. Wasn't near as good as what just came out, but
So
I had fun.
what were you gonna say, Lulu?
Oh no, I was just gonna kind of like expand on that and just sort of say the same thing where I was surprised and I wasn't sure exactly how that was gonna work out, and if it could be done or if it was gonna be really hard, and I was a little surprised.
And of course, I have one last video.
Is it when we take on the real Masa?
No, it's another lore one. It's another Guild Wars 1 lore thing that only true people would love.
How dare you? Maybe I'll love it. I just don't know yet.
The Mossad betrayed us and murdered my men, and then dragged me to this terrible place. I've been trapped here, tormented by my own demons, paralyzed by the shame of selling out my people. The Eye kept me alive and used my guilt to try to break me down, force me to be the Mossad's puppet. Now, I'm free.
Aww.
Hey, he's an alright guy.
Dude, I swear to God, when I saw that, I was like, I was split between 50-50. Like, I kind of wish they put it in PvE, but at the same time, I guess I can see it now that it was a good idea to keep it in a raid for story purposes, I guess you could say. But at the same time, I just would have liked it to see some PvE related story about Saul D'Alessio finally making, I guess you could say, somewhat an appearance.
Well, I enjoyed fighting by him.
Because I can tell you, Mac, you're probably not too into the lore, are you?
Not when it comes to not. I know bits and pieces. Let's put it that way. Not near as much as you are.
Because apparently Saul D'Alessio was pretty much, I guess you could say, a drunkard, and he hit rock bottom. So he went out and about, and apparently he came across the Masat, and apparently he thought that they were like gods or whatever. So he pretty much formed the White Mantle, I guess, for the Char invasion. And he didn't realize that they were actually bad or whatever. So they took him, and he hadn't been seen for 250 years.
No, and then we find him there, huh?
Yep. So he's been alive this whole time for 250 years.
Man, that had to be a cruddy life.
Had to be shitty.
Not a pleasant one.
Being kept alive forever and ever, practically.
250 years at that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Not the life I want.
Oop, gotta turn the kit up. Technical difficulties.
I like it.
Let's see. What time is it? Oh, you're going. Let's see. What else can we talk about? So if they decide to make another expansion, Vermin already knows this, but Lou and Mac, where do you think we should go for the next expansion?
Oh, heck, I have no clue. I mean, with the, I think Cantha would be fun.
Haha, see? Cantha.
I would love for them to really work on the underwater stuff, and I would love to, I'd like our next dragon to be the underwater dragon myself. I would love to see it, but that they're gonna, that they're really gonna have to work on the underwater weapons and stuff like that, so that you can actually have a viable build underwater. Because like with my engineer, I mean, if I didn't holosmith, because I can turn on my holosmith when I'm underwater.
Hello, pizza delivery.
Yeah, that's right.
Akanisai.
No pineapple, please.
I was just gonna say that, but I can only use a harpoon gun, right? And it's all conditioned, and so, but I'm power built when it comes to my holosmith. So when I go underwater, I'm all my abilities are condition based, but I'm power based. So they're gonna have to work some stuff out there, in my opinion. Make it more hybrid or something. And I would love to see them actually make it where you had an underwater build, where just like you have above water, where you could set up your build, and I would love to see like you get a wetsuit or something where you could have like staff that go with weapon or something. But yeah, I would love to do underwater.
What do you think, Lulu, for next expansion?
Well, I have always wanted to see the Cantha, but that's because I didn't play Guild Wars 1. And
Oh my god.
I know. I didn't get into this game. It was like by happenstance that I started playing this game. I know. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
My brother gave it to me.
Scrap.
Shut up.
Scrap.
So he, I was gonna say my brother gave me the game after he played the game for one day. He's like, "F this, I don't like it, rant," and he threw it at me. And I was like, "What?" And then I started playing. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is awesome." But as far as underwater, I had some thoughts on that. They would actually have to make like a whole entire different way of maybe an instance, like how when you go into World v World
Mm-hmm.
and you get a new build,
Well,
it would have to be almost like that.
you
Like
think
your build
if
goes with you underwater. And because these skills that you have and you use them underwater, they just don't seem very fluid. Not to make that punny, but
no
yeah.
worries, but you think that if they do underwater combat or try to rework it, if they do that in the next expansion, they're probably going to have to, because if we're fighting an underwater dragon, well, his environment is underwater, so we have to, I guess, make it work.
Right, and there's so much about our skills right now, the way they cast, that make it confusing. Did I cast it right where I'm at? Is it above me? You know, the actions don't seem very cohesive.
Enticing.
That too. Plus, people, they have a hard time fighting underwater. They get very confused. Their field of view is, I think that they should increase the field of view so you can maybe even go smaller or ant sized in a way,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Vermin, I'm not sure if you chimed in on that last episode, but what are your thoughts for underwater?
I didn't, and I think that it'll be new and interesting. I don't know if I'm going to be a fan of it yet. The underwater stuff is, but if it has a great story in it, then I'm all for it.
I wonder if we'll get like a really cool underwater mount that would maybe make it a little enticing for people.
That's what I was gonna suggest next. Is if we do an expansion, do you think they're gonna have to release a underwater type of mount?
Oh, they
dolphin
totally
mount?
would.
But they're gonna have to incorporate it something, because how are we gonna fight with our mount? Are we gonna ride on its back? Are we going to?
I don't think you're gonna fight on your mount. I think it'll work just like in the other mount. You'll dismount once you do the attack.
Back when people started first bringing this up about a month ago, I'm like, nuclear submarines for the.
No, I think if they would, I mean, with any class, I think if they would make it to where you're when you're fighting underwater, it's as fluent as it is above water as far as the speed and your movement. I really think that it wouldn't be near as bad as comes across, because you're just so slow and it feels real clunky underwater. And then, you know, trying to maneuver underwater as far as like having enemy underneath you or something. You know, I understand that we're underwater, but you know, those are the biggest issues, other than just having a decent build. But they do have the bubbles, and you can infuse your ascended and your legendary underwater weapons with your speed bubble as well. So I think if they did that, you'd be moving pretty dang quick.
Now, for shits and giggles with this expansion, do you think ArenaNet should fulfill a complete set and just do up the last 3 legendary underwater weapons for this thing? second gen underwater weapons?
I don't know if they will.
I mean, I don't see why not. Why do we have to stick with only one gen weapon?
Well, I mean, I would love if they would. It's just I don't know. I mean, now if we do go and it starts with being underwater or doing some combat and stuff, I could see them bringing it in then. Bringing it in then. Because I mean, but most people avoid underwater combat at all costs. They just don't like it. It's nothing that they enjoy, and so unless there's going to be a lot more underwater, I wouldn't see them actually making another legendary. People aren't.
I'm in that same boat. I avoid the underwater combat like a plague.
Yeah, I think most people do. I'm a holosmith, so I love going underwater and turning on my holosmith mode where I'm actually fast and I can beat crap out. It's actually quite fun to be a holosmith underwater.
Well, what do you think would happen if they did rework the skills and mechanics of underwater fights? Do you think only then could they release a second gen underwater weapons to make it seem like it's worthwhile? Or do you think even if they fix it, people will only still stick with the first gen?
Oh, I would make a second gen, especially if they actually gave me a weapon swap or something, or where I could use, a spear. Because I've got my harpoon gun.
Can't you already swap weapons while you're underwater? Isn't everybody granted 2 weapons?
Negative.
Yeah.
Nope. Engineer can. Yes, I'm positive. I main an engineer. Engineer can only use the harpoon gun. Period.
Oh, so it's only NG that only has access to one?
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Because you get a spellcaster mode instead of user weapon.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Ellie even get a swap? I don't think Ellie gets a swap either.
Yeah, there's no swap. You just get the spellcaster. You can swap between your elements, but
Right. Yeah. But you guys only have the trident. Is that right?
For which profession?
Ellie.
I'm not Vermin.
what do you mean?
What do you get to use for underwater weapons?
Spells.
Well, I
Yeah,
do
but-
believe it is the trident, though, that you get to use, isn't it?
Yeah, the weapon itself is right.
Oh, you mean if in the actual slot?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to your build or whatever, if you scroll down to your underwater things.
Yeah. I get a trident and my breather.
Oh. Because with warrior, you get spears and harpoon guns, which I'm pretty fine with.
Yeah, on my ranger I get that also, and also on my boot.
Yeah, I think Ellie and Angie are the only ones that only have one option as far as this weapon. And they wouldn't even have to give me a weapon swap. I would like to be using a spear underwater with my engine. And the Revenant used to be that way, but then they gave him the spear and I think the trident that they can have now.
Do you think they should do that with the engineer next? Or do you think it would be too overpowered?
Oh, I don't think it would.
You don't think it would be overpowered? Mac? I think we lost him.
With the new build changes for engineer for scrapper, they're already kind of OP now.
Yeah, but when it comes to like weapon swap, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying instead of having to run with a harpoon gun, I could pick a spear instead, right? Doesn't mean I can have both of them. Just I can pick one or the other, and I think that would be nice.
Now, what with this expansion, I talked this with Vermin before, but you think they'd have to price it correctly, pricing wise?
By correctly, what do you mean?
Well,
As far as
Without the different tiers of game you can purchase, the standard basic game, then the slightly upgraded, and then the full on.
yeah, you get your standard, deluxe, and ultimate. Because with Heart of Thorns, the ultimate edition ran for $100,
mm-hmm.
whereas Path of Fire, I think they learned the lesson, and I think they put it at $75.
I think it was something like that. I bought them both.
You bought a deluxe and no, you mean both expansions for deluxe or ultimate?
The ultimate for the Path of Fire, and I believe even when it first came out, I've got the Heroes band
Mm-hmm.
that you get when you're level 1 or whatever.
I've only did the deluxes.
You know, for your $100, the voice actor for Timey should show up on Arene with a stack of gems to hand to you in person.
Something like that. I don't know, that's just the way I am. If I buy something, I always get like stuff. Or the ultimate, whatever you can get. The highest one you get, that's it. And as far as like spending, money on gems, I am definitely one to do that.
Because right
When
here,
necessary.
for Heart of Thorns, the standard was $30, the deluxe was $75, and the ultimate was $100. And the only difference between the deluxe and the ultimate was the 4,000 gems. So for an extra $25, you got 4,000 gems.
Yep.
I think that was pretty bad marketing, pricing wise.
Well, how much is 4,000 gems worth?
Isn't it something
It's
like
like
that?
$10 for 800 gems.
Right, so I think let's see. I mean, 2,000 gems is $25.
It's $50
So-
for 4,000 gems, which that's the same price it was at the time, and I felt that it was worth it.
So yeah, it just depends because, first of all, I'm kind of like Lulu. It's like, I do not pay a subscription fee for this game. I get constant updates on this game. They give me more than any other MMO, and I don't have to put a dime into it. So I love this game, and I have no problem supporting this game. I don't think they should, go overboard with it, but the people that have played this game and invested in this game and enjoy this game, I think we're all willing to put a little bit more into it, since there is no subscription fee, and we're getting, we're getting living world updates, even if they're a little slow, that's more than any other MMO. You have to pay for every other expansion on any other MMO you've ever freaking played, at least for me. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I guess that's just my take.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna spend, say $175 a year to play a game, and have that subscription fee, I don't mind when something comes out of like an expansion and I just throw, $75 at it or $100.
Because the last thing that I have right here is the Path of Fire thing. So they kept the standard at $30. Deluxe is $55, and the ultimate is $80. So it's pretty much ultimate is $20 cheaper. So I think they did a good thing on that. So I'm just wondering if the next expansion, they probably should maybe lower it another maybe 10, $15 for Ultimate Edition and have the deluxe instead of 55, make it 45, 40-ish, maybe.
But why lower? I
Well-
mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to think. Is, okay, so Path of Fire got lower, and I think a lot of that had to do with the bad rep that HOT got, right? But Path of Fire, I mean, Path of Fire, you know, overall was a dang good expansion, so I don't see them lowering it, maybe keeping it right.
Well, I think because they base it around the hype or whatever, like, oh my god, guys, next expansion, and here's all this content, here's maybe a mount, here's maybe a couple of things here and there that they're going to market for it, and then they'll just be like trying to bank on it. They're like, oh my god, you know, how can we get people to come even just for the hype alone? Like, okay, well, like I said, maybe deluxe be $45, because in the consumer's eyes, they're going to be like, wow, I'm getting all this content for $45. That sounds like a steal. Whereas if somebody sees deluxe edition for 55 or whatever Heart of Thorns was, they're going to be like, wow, I got all this content for this price. It's like, what do you think?
I see where you're coming from, but I suppose I don't know, if you're still gonna get the same gameplay and pay $40 for it or $30 for the standard edition, and if you want the bells and whistles, I think that's what they put them there for. One, to make money off of, and two, for people who are into that sort of thing and get those things, and that's why you pay for it. So if it's not going to affect, like, if everybody's still going to get the same amount of game, whether you pay a lower part, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could give an incentive towards people who already have played the game for a while. Who knows?
I mean, if they don't want the perks, they can just go with the standard, right? So that way they won't feel like they've been guilted into this amount of content, and they feel like, well, good thing I only spent $30 on it, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Mac?
Oh no, yeah, I think the same thing. It's like, you know, I mean, I think they've always had. I mean, if you just want the basic game, I think they've always had a reasonable price for it, especially for the amount of content you get. And yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. It's like, you know, it's no different than, you know, when you go see a movie and then they've got the collector's edition, or, you know, with the extra cut. You're paying another $10 for it.
Or the posters that you can buy.
Right. I mean, but that's because, you know, and then there's people that, you know, I'm really into this freaking movie and it's freaking awesome. You know, I mean, look at all the Star Wars stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, you know, I mean, and so that's what, you know, the rest of it's for is, you know, I mean, I guess what people
It's for
would
the
call
fans.
Right.
It's for
exactly.
the fans!
So, you know, I mean, the new people, of course, they're probably just going to buy the game. I'm like Lulu. I'm like, you know what? I'm going big or going home. I don't care.
By the way, I want you to know that I'm not trying to pick on ArenaNet and not trying to make them money or whatever. But it's just I want them to obviously still thrive, but I just don't want it to be like, okay, guys, expansion. Here's the hype, because usually when people play the expansion, they get a little bit of satisfaction out of it, and then they just disappear again for months or whatever, and they go play something different. I want them to succeed and try to grasp and keep their player base for as long as they can with the expansion.
Well, I mean, and I do understand what you're saying there. And no, I know you're not dogging on them. The thing is because of what the player base is in this game, you've got a lot of casuals, okay? And so they come and go. But one thing I know about the casuals is they always end up back on this game.
Yeah, but that's casuals though. They'll come and go, whereas hardcore people, even if the expansion comes out, and after it dies out from the hype or whatever, they're obviously going to stick around. But then you have the people who just get the expansion, play for a little bit, kill the expansion, and then they just go disappear and play something else.
Right, and yeah, I mean, because it's a double-edged sword. Because you've got a Main Force 2 is more of a casual game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but for the hardcore player that wants to sit there and grind and this and that and the other, I mean, unless you're doing legendary stuff, there's not a lot of that going on, and it's not a game where it's built for that. And so, people that can sit there and just grind it out for 24 hours, and I know I'm exaggerating, but all of a sudden they're gonna run through a lot of content, and then they're gonna sit there and say, well, what the heck am I doing now, right? So I mean, and that's how the game's made. It's made more casual. And I think they lean towards that player base overall. So yeah, I mean.
Vermin, do you have anything you want to chime in for that?
No, I'm pretty new and inexperienced at this. I think that whatever they do, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a fair.
I mean, do you think if they did lower the price for a third expansion, or do you think they should keep the same price what they learned for Path of Fire?
Oh, well, in regards to that, think it through. What does that say to the public about what you think about your own product if you try to sell the newest thing for a lower price than you sold it for the last? You're gonna look like you're disrespecting your own stuff and all the people that paid all that money for the last. They're gonna probably stick to the same price scheme just for appearance's sake, so they don't lose respect that way. When you go to the used car lot, you think the car that's $2,000 is better than the car that's $8,000.
Yeah, I guess when you lower the price like that, you're setting an expectation for a lower, like he just said, a lower kind of product, if you will. It seems like if I was going to only pay $15 for it or something, I'd expect $15 worth of content, and if it was only going to be that much, where's my incentive to necessarily buy it if I'm not going to be missing out on anything? But I mean, if it's going to be like more of a promise of like a whole entire game where I'm going to get, hours and hours of enjoyment and or completion of content for, then yeah, I'm going to buy it. And when I buy games, I always expect to spend, at least $60 on something.
Because we know all the controversy of a game shouldn't be $60 or whatever because games cost too much or whatever. So, do you think that's just a little bit of lucrative?
That people complain about the price of games?
Yeah, saying that games cost too much money for $60. They want it cheaper.
Well, that's probably it depends on who you're talking to. I mean, if you're talking to somebody who is in college and doesn't have a lot of money, then yes. But if I'm sure they've studied their demographic. They know the player range of their base and what their income ranges are. So they're going to base the price of the game based on the demographic of who plays, and the people that complain or cry about the price is probably the minority. They're just maybe more loudly heard, or there's other people that feel the same way.
Well, I mean, if I can chime in.
Go ahead.
I would love a brand new truck for $10. Yeah, you want to get something for $10? But the thing is that logical? Is that even? I mean, does that make any sense? Hell no, it doesn't. And I guess that's what it comes down to. It's like, well, yeah, I would love a brand new freaking truck, never been used, just off the lot for $10. Who wouldn't, right? But is that logical? I mean, does that even? Is that asking a little much out of trying to get a car? Yeah, you're not going to get it. That doesn't make any logical sense. So you have
Right, and you got to cover the costs too,
right, exactly. So
the overhead and everything.
right, exactly. And so
The filter aspect of it too. You're gonna keep all the people out who, don't think $50 for a game is a good idea, which might be a good thing for the game community altogether. You want only better players, serious players, people who are more into whatever it is they're spending their money on. If you spend $10 on something, you're gonna treat it like you spend $10 on it.
yeah, exactly. Because I can spend another $10 and get the same thing again, right?
Yeah, phone apps are $10. Real games cost more than that.
That's right. Hey, I like that, man. I like that. That's good. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you there. It's like, a real game, a real good MMO. Yeah, it's gonna, but the thing is that this game costs less than any other MMO that I've played. I've played the Beast that cost me $15 a month, and I played it for years, and they made freaking bank off of me, and they didn't give me near as much content as this game.
Yeah, I'm sure
Plays
Because I've had people come and say that, I used to be a WoW player, and now this game, it's like, wow, their perspective has changed.
yeah, well, that's where I came from.
Crazy.
Yeah.
WoW player.
Yeah, I was.
Ugh, it's a WoW player.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. I go back on WoW, and that's exactly how I go.
Ugh.
It's true. I played WoW too, so I'm not really one to talk. But I also played Warhammer Online. I played EverQuest. I played Rift.
Yeah, and the thing is think about all those games, because I'm right there with you, okay? And it's like, how much money did I spend a month on those games? And how much content did I get in return? Because I guarantee you, the one that I played the most, which is the one we're talking about, didn't give me anywhere near the content, and I was paying subscription people. So,
Also, with the recent news, the whole trade tariffs thing with China, the recent news is that game consoles, the price is going to skyrocket. So we're probably going to look at a big resurgence in PC gaming because of that, I'm thinking.
that'd be cool. I'm cool with that.
I prefer PC games.
I do too.
And if it comes out, like say, on the PlayStation 4 or whatever, I don't know. I'll play it there, but I'll wait for the sale on Steam or something and get the cheaper one and play it on my PC, and I enjoy it better. I've done it actually a few times.
Yeah, I don't even have a console. I just got my computer.
Well, I think, what do I have? PlayStation 4 and Switch.
No, my brother's got a PlayStation 4 that he plays on. I used to have an Xbox, but I gave it to some kiddos once.
The kiddos.
Yeah. Had to make some kiddos happy for Christmas, so yeah. Not my kids, but yeah.
I have an original NES console and a cardboard box full of games and controllers and stuff. I'm thinking about throwing it on eBay and see what I can get for.
Yeah.
What was your very first console?
Nintendo was mine.
Mine was Nintendo 64.
All right, gonna date myself. The Atari 2600.
You're fired.
Yeah. I never owned
That was
one.
mine.
You're fired. You're fired.
I think I had the next.
I had the Sears Pong console for.
I had, like I said, I never owned the Atari. It was actually, it wasn't mine. My grandmother got it so that we could play games at her house. And so, but she had Pong, and she had a Smurf game. That
Grandma was
Smurf.
legit.
Yeah, you were a Smurf and you jumped,
Smurf.
and that's all you did. I mean, it was just like
Smurf.
different games. Yeah. I thought that was the coolest darn game ever. I was like, Smurfs, alright.
I don't think I ever played that game. The very first console I bought for myself was the Panasonic 3DO.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was a cool console.
It was. I loved it.
The first computer game that I ever played was on, you know, way back when it was a computer, but, the Black Cauldron. If you've never played it, it's freaking awesome. Made in paint, but it's
That's
awesome.
like that. My
I
first
love that.
computer game, I had a Commodore 64 and it was Zork.
Zorb?
Yeah.
Yes. Played that. Oh man, good old days.
I think everybody's gonna like this game. What I said for the N64 is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Of course.
Oh, great game.
Yes.
Best game to this date.
I thought the handheld version of it was more fun and convenient, but yeah, that's a
You guys, I don't know how old y'all are, but do you guys ever remember the, like the held hand tiger games where you could sit there and,
oh dude, like the football game.
yeah. I had a baseball one where it was just dot. But,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, LED light.
yeah.
The
I don't think I remember that.
Man.
then of course you all have to know Majora's Mask would be my next favorite.
Don't think I know that one.
That's the Legend of Zelda.
Oh, okay. If it's Zelda, I'm sure I played it.
Mac, you're fired.
I know.
Yeah,
Right.
Did anybody play the Snowboard Kids series?
Snowboard Kids. I played SSX on the GameCube.
Ugh, GameCube.
I played Battletoads, alright?
I think
Darn game ever.
I think I've maybe only played 2 games on the GameCube.
And Mega Man.
Pikmin.
Anyone know Gotcha Force?
Negative. Not I.
That sounds familiar.
It's a toy game where you can control toys and whatnot.
Yeah. I remember that. My one of my buddies, he got in. He had an old set of that, and he gave it to his kid. And
God, that was like the best game that I've ever played for that system.
Yeah, I remember. The thing is you know, they've got like the Nintendo Classic where you can just plug it in now, and you know, it's got the games on it. I was sitting there with my brothers, sitting there trying to play it, playing Mario, you know, the original. And it's like, man, we're spoiled now. I'm just saying, because, you know, you died in Mario, and you started all the way from the beginning. There ain't no saving.
That
You know,
sucks.
you got to the end. Oh man. And I'm sure you guys all remember. It's like, you know, there was no save. I mean, it was like you get through the level or you don't get through the level.
Alright, so I want to get back on topic on something.
Sure.
So let's, Furman will obviously know this question, but for Lulu and Mac, what do you think the game's going to take us next for Season 5, Episode 1?
Where's it gonna take us?
Yeah, where are we going to go? Because usually they give us like a cliffhanger or they give us a little preview of what's to come, but they didn't give us really anything.
Yeah, I think there was a reason for that. Because it makes me wonder.
Because
Right.
you got Primordus and Jormag in slumber mode, so what else is there? that could like.
Dragon. Water dragon.
Well, yeah, but that I think that what we talked about would be for an expansion, but maybe they don't have to do it as an expansion.
Well, I don't think we're gonna do a dragon in the next expansion. I think we've got some. I think it's gonna be more personal thing. You know, it's gonna be something about timey or I think it's gonna be more like things going on with the guildies again. I really do think. I don't know who the big baddie's gonna be though. You know, I mean,
My take on it was it's time for new gods. All the old gods have left. There's only one Elder Dragon, and she basically left. So to perk up the game world, I think they're going to introduce new gods, and we're going to have to go kick their ass.
I think it was so funny. It was like my best moment.
Do you
sitting there talking to Gwen?
do you think a god's gonna come in this next one? Is it even really worth it for another god like say Alyssa or Granth to come to Tyria?
No, it'll be some mortal person or thing that has discovered some sort of secret power or something and has achieved godhood. People are like, oh,
I want to see if we can explore something like Menzies. Or something like Connexai or the what is it, Urgoz or whatever. That'd be pretty funny to expand on that stuff.
it would also be like in a comedic role only. They could bring Joko back again, but as like a little tiny Joko.
No.
Can't bring Joko back. He got eaten by a dragon.
No.
Joko
Regurgitated Joko.
brings you to life.
No, I just see it being something more. Like I said, I don't know who the big baddie would be, but it's like I can see where we go, and we have to find something as far as a cure for timey or whatever, and we have to go to these places. But I don't know what the conflict would. I mean, they would make a conflict. I just, as far as having, anything that even comes to mind, I don't. But I see that. I think it's.
I actually want to chime in on something. What do you think would happen if Timing actually did die? Do you think
Everybody would be pissed off.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Do you think the community would be up in arms and enraged?
Tommy's basically the mascot for the game. I don't think
The mascot, yes.
Well, I mean, she's the brains. I mean, you take Timey out of our guild, we're stupid people.
We're just a bunch of bukas.
Bunch of oafs.
Bunch of bukas.
Yeah, there you go.
one of the things we mentioned last time that I thought was kind of important sounding was, did you guys notice the lack of finding Blish inside of Kropatory?
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, he was to power up the tracking device, which was Balthazar's sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
and so maybe the next chapter will at least be like, oh, we found signs of Blish way inside of Kropatory's body or something like that.
He pooped out Blish. Poop. Or Aurene just like took over and was like, "Oh man, what does this taste like?" And she just spits out Blish. Blech.
So yeah, I mean, they could go in any direction right now because there's no cliffhanger, right? Everybody's happy.
Yeah, no cliffhanger.
So yeah, there's just they could go in 1,000 different directions. But
Let me just rewind time a little bit. What was your guys' reaction to finding out Timey's condition actually got worse?
That really didn't bother me, because doggone it, I'm an engineer. I'm gonna figure out something here.
What did you think, Lulu?
I guess I was a little sad about it, but I kind of I'm holding out hope that they don't, end her or make things worse for her than it is. Maybe the next thing would be
To find a cure.
to find a cure to, like Tiny's out or something like that.
You know who's been absent for a long time is Kaz and Jory.
What about Zosha? She should have been there on the last one. I'm sorry. I don't care. Get a new voice actor. I don't care. Zosha should have been there.
Okay. All right, you go tell Arena that.
Tommy could just go into the trading post and buy a whole body overhaul and fix that.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, our whole guild should have been there. I mean, because I don't know where Kaz and... But, I mean, they've been biased this whole time, and they weren't there, which kind of bugged me. And then, Destiny's Edge, what was left of it, should have totally been there, all of them. I mean, come on, man.
Well, they technically were. Like you said, only Zolja was missing. Ritlock and Logan were there.
Yeah, Zosha best be dead. We best find out that woman's dead. That's all I gotta say. Because she's been gone so long, she best be dead.
She's just unconscious right now. She's not dead.
Whose ghost was that showed up with ear? Was that Zoja or was that who was
No,
that?
that's Snap.
Yeah, it was Snaff.
Yeah, that's right.
Good old Snap. I've got a mini of him. He's pretty cool. He's got a gun. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But what do you actually guys think, for like legit question, where do you think we're gonna go for this next episode? Like, what could there theoretically be left for us to go do? I mean, other than Bubbles, aka Deep Sea Dragon, I don't legitimately think they're gonna pull up, go find a cure for Timing. I mean, they have to do something now that the story arc for Aureen's finally been put to rest, I guess you could say, but something has to come.
I could be Captain Obvious here for a second and hopefully not be too dumb sounding, but there's still big chunks of the map that you cannot go to. And
Yeah.
that indicates that there's going to be more story to open up those parts of it.
I think it's time we start looking at some dwarf stuff, maybe. Like, we didn't even get to see, well, maybe he's still King Zhao's Iron Hammer. I want to see that guy. I want to see what he's been up for 250 years.
Bringing the dwarf race back to the game would be awesome and way cooler than playing a stupid vulture man guy.
The Tengu.
Yeah, those guys are dumb looking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not interested in playing a Tengu at all. A Conan maybe, but
Ooh, the Coden.
I know.
A lot of people want to play as Coden, but I think a majority of people want to play as Tengu, but then why would you want to be a bird?
Well,
Yeah.
you could be a bird, just like make them look cool. They got that whole vulture and everything going on, and they look like they smell bad. It's just
Wow, did you just assume they smell bad?
He totally
You're gonna get me copyright striked. Some tango dude's gonna be like, whoa, he just said we smell, dude. Flag.
go lay an egg, Tengu.
The thing is I have never, and I know I'm an odd one, I've never won another race.
Just
I've never, it's never even crossed my mind to have another race. And I know there's like people up in arms about it. It's like they want another. It's like I've put a lot of time and effort into my char. I don't really need another race.
I mean, the last thing that people said that they wanted to play was a dwarf, so that's why I'm probably bringing up dwarfs.
Yeah, but then I'll have to start at a dwarf, and I really don't want to start at a dwarf. Or any other thing.
Wah, wah, wah.
I know. I mean, somebody's gonna whine for you.
So, Lulu or Vermin, do you think you can chime in on something for episode 1?
I think that they should. I mean, you're talking about aside from being underwater.
Yeah, like, where could we possibly go next? That arena net is probably going to take us.
We were talking about last episode. We were talking about they're going to supposedly do some sort of WBW overhaul, and that's probably going to take up the in between time attention. But as far as the actual chapter goes, wow, it could be that Irene in her new super powerful state has discovered something else wrong, and she needs the team to fix it, or something that would be kind of interesting.
Actually, that would. Or she discovers that something bad is coming our way, and
Okay, I gotta AFK for just a second here, guys. I'm getting dragged by my dogs.
Alright, no worries. Well, Vermin or Lulu, what do you think of a possible White Mantle return? Just to end the series for them.
What would be their goal? Like, who's their foe?
Or maybe there's somebody behind the scenes that was probably being the real puppeteer.
other than the demon that was holding.
Because obviously Lazarus is gone, Codus is gone, so do you think there's actually somebody pulling strings behind the White Mantle scenes that could launch a final assault? Or a final comeback, I guess you could say.
Queen Jenna.
Yeah, man, she's wrapped in mysteries.
Right?
You guys know she doesn't wear shoes, right?
What's up with that?
The fuck, man.
Me.
I
You-
think
Really
that
trust somebody who doesn't wear shoes?
I mean, Jesus, you're royalty. Put on some damn shoes.
That's funny. I think that in the sense of new things, to make a new mechanic maybe, that they should have like naval or ship battles. That would be kind of cool, or airship battles. That would be kind of awesome.
You know, I wish maybe, because it just came to my mind, because you remember how in Ascalon, Ritlock tried to put, what is it, Sahothan into the ground, and the supposed lore is only a descendant of King Doric's blood or whatever can release the ghost of Ascalon. I wonder if they could do something with that. Make something happen, maybe like a side quest or something. Well, it can't be a side quest. It has to be a story. But like somebody, a descendant like Queen Jenna, finally takes Sahothan and just puts it in and just gets rid of the ghost of Ascalon. You think they could do
That
something?
would be interesting. How about if they were to do something like you could build a guild airship and you could use this to go fight other guild airships?
Alright everybody, rally up. We're gonna go fight this big airship and we're gonna take over.
Yeah, and you get resources for it to improve your own airship.
I don't know, but how would they do that mechanic? Do you actually control the ship, or is it just straight up stationary?
You would have, you would build it up and make it able to mount, for instance, but then it would be a part of the map, and you would get onto it to go fight the other airship. And the airship is like autonomous, and it would move around slowly, and you could jump from ship to ship, sort of like a Battlefield 2049, kind of like.
Do you think they should add like a mechanic where somebody legitly has to steer the ship?
That would be
Oh
cool.
my gosh.
Like, it would obviously go bad. Everybody would try to, crash
Captain,
it.
oh my captain. Oh.
Turn left, turn right. Oh my god.
Uh,
Full throttle.
Who's driving this day?
And then it's just a little, sir, I can't reach the ground, sir. I don't know what I'm doing. Full throttle. Full reverse. We're gonna crash.
But the White Mantle thing is a legit point. That they did kind of just drop those guys off to the cliff there. It would be interesting to see what happens.
But I don't know, maybe do like a short arc just for one final White Mantle assault, comeback or whatever, and we just pretty much destroy them. Like what they did in Guild Wars 1 with the final battle for Lion's Arch or whatever. Do you know that one, Vermin?
Only from hearsay and stories I've heard from other people.
Okay. It was pretty much just a final assault where the White Mantle and the last of the surviving Mossad just tried to do a final battle to retake Lion's Arch, and it failed, and we killed all the White Mantle and the Mossad. Only Lazarus was the one able to escape for 250 years. So that's why I'm saying maybe do like a final mechanic where they try to, I wouldn't say Lion's Arch, but maybe do it in Divinity's Reach on a large scale, like maybe a meta event instead of a story instance. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool for a meta event for Divinity's Reach Defend.
What is the story behind the dwarf disappearing?
The
Maybe
dwarves?
You use that with the next, story.
You said the dwarfs?
Yeah.
They went to. There's this thing called the Rite of the Dwarf, where it turns them obviously from fleshly to stone or whatever. So they pretty much can't die unless you totally disintegrate them into piles of rubble or whatever. But for pretty much 250 years, they went underground to keep Primordius at bay. But look how that turned out for 250 years.
So they went and got stoned for 250 years underground.
Yep. Tried to keep Primordius and the Destroyers at bay from coming to the surface. But that's why I'm saying, since now Primordius is at bay, they should probably have a little break in between where we can go see King Giles if he is still alive for the 250 years. Maybe do like a side thing in between stories to where we can see what the dwarves have been up to and how they managed to keep Primordius at bay for 250 years.
There you go. There's your tie-in. The White Mantle has decided to go destroy Primordius, and the dwarves are like, no, he's cool now. Don't destroy him.
That'd be pretty weird to get dwarves and White Mantle mixed up with Primordius stuff. Not sure there is much to talk about. I'm just going to wait for Mac to see if he has anything less. Because I'm going to probably have us rally up for the meta train.
Yay, Meta Train.
Choo-choo.
Another training.
So Lulu, do you prefer a griffin or a sky scale?
Oh, definitely my griffin. I like the griffin better.
How do you feel about the 250 gold paywall thing?
For the griffin?
Yeah.
I did think it was a bit steep. I think they ran out of maybe ideas as far as like not ideas, but I guess they wanted to make people grind for it more. Or maybe it was just a thing to get people to buy gems so they could just pay for it.
It makes it more of a status item that way.
Yeah, it does. And
it also promotes gem sales if you want to think about it in a kind of a jerk.
No, I'm pretty sure it did.
So Mac, do you prefer griffin or sky scale?
Sky Scale.
Okay. And why do you prefer?
Why do I prefer it?
Yeah.
Because I love the hover. I love the feeling of like being able to lift myself up and keep myself there.
Well,
I know it's not as fast, and trust me, the Griffin's got issues, but I still use my Griffin especially if I want to get across the map real quick. But as far as preference, I like that I can hover in the air, and I've got more control over it.
And what about you, Vermin?
That's a tough one. I like the sky scale for those reasons. It does an interesting new way to do things in the game. I really wish it was a little faster, and I really wish it had more than 3 levels of mastery. Hopefully hopefully they'll be unlocking more of that in the next big patch or game update or whatever. It'll be nice, isn't it? The Griffin, though, you can't beat it for crossing terrain once you get the dive thing down and know how to do it right. Nothing beats it as far as crossing a lot of terrain quickly.
Agreed.
And how do you feel about same thing with Lulu? How do you feel about the 250 gold paywall, Vermin?
Oh, like I was saying, it adds a little importance to the mount. It gives it a little more prestige that you have one. Wow, that guy, he made 250 gold, you know. And all things being honest, it wasn't that hard to make the 250 gold. I don't even farm gold like some of the people do. I just do like trains and stuff, and I was able to do it in about 4 weeks of doing a lot of trainings and resource map gathering on my own. And not spending it on fun things like dives and stuff like that. So it wasn't that hard to get.
I think we all talked about the pros, but let's talk about the downside. So let's start with you, Lulu. What do you dislike about the Griffin?
I think that landing is a little difficult sometimes. Unless you actually, uncovered everything as far as the abilities are concerned. But the biggest thing I have is probably just maybe more of a, like, that really is only just a landing thing. Sometimes it just seems a little rough to kind of navigate how to land.
Mm-hmm.
Like I overshoot or I miss all the time. But I still prefer that mount.
Max, since you gave pros about the upscale, what's the cons? What are the downsides to Skyscale?
I wish they would have a button that wasn't your attack button to go down. So when you are close to the ground and you don't want to attack and dismount, that you could actually just come down. Because there are times when I'm when I want to land, and even though you can use your mouse to angle them down, you don't land a lot of times. You stick to the wall, and that gets annoying very quickly because I don't mind sticking to the wall, but when I want to land and I stick to a wall, then I shoot myself back up. It can get a little irritating. The sticking to the wall thing, I wish it, I don't know, the controls of that. I don't like how you just automatically stick to a wall. Because I get stuck to a wall a lot of times with the mastery unlock and everything. It doesn't bother me near as much as it used to, but they can still be just kind of a nuisance, especially if you've got a ranged character attacking you, and then you go to go up and you stick to the wall, and then they just start hitting you more, and then you get dismounted. That annoys me.
Alright.
So I would say that's the biggest downfall when it comes to the Sky Scroll.
And Vermin, were you 50-50 between the two?
Yeah, I like the Griffin more because of the mobility, but Max got a good point. The landing kind of is funky. You can dive to a landing. Another thing that is immediately noticeable is that the attack dive is slow. All of the other mounts have a jump into action kind of thing when you do the attack, but the Skyscale doesn't. It just kind of glides in very slowly and then sets a place on fire. It would be nice if it did a dive bomb like the Griffin did to get that done. That would be more, get into the fight faster. And the sticking to the wall thing, I agree. It's also kind of clunky. It is interesting and it has its purpose, and it makes it so that you can fly higher and higher by doing wall jumps and going up and up and up. But it gets annoying if you want to try to land on a tree branch or something and you just hit that one plane that's sideways instead of flat. You end up sticking instead of landing. And overall, it should be a faster mount too. That would add to the fun and to the
it was very difficult to do all of that stuff. I mean, 250 of every map currency was kind of a steep thing to put on that. I mean, it was about as hard as it was as making 250 gold. Plus, they put 35 gold on top of that, so you get a little more for all the work you did.
All right, just to chime in on my thing. I like my Griffin. I can't think of any cons at the moment with it. I just like the flying mechanic. Pretty much when you are high up and stuff, and you do the double down thing, and you just like shoot like a rocket. I think that's the only good thing about it, other than the dive bomb thing where it does too, like you said. But I'm pretty much not going to go for the sky scale because I did the preview it, and I wasn't too happy about the mechanics, like what Max said, the sticking to walls and stuff, the downside of not really having a good dive bomb, whatever, other than its fire attack when you dismount, or engage, I should say. That's just my take on, if I had to choose between the two, I'd choose the Griffin like Lulu. As for the paywall for the 250, being the rich guy that I am, I didn't really have a problem with the 250 gold. But even if I wasn't rich and I didn't have 250, like Vermin said, 250 gold is nothing. You can pretty much just get it from doing metas, trains, blah blah blah.
Agreed.
Do you guys maybe think they should have, what they did for the Griffin is do like a hidden mechanic and hide the sky scale? Or do you think they should have just left it open like they did and just announced a sky scale?
Oh, I think they should have left it open like they did. I mean, the doing a hidden mount again, I don't think that's a smart idea at all.
Okay.
I mean, it was great when they did the Griffin and you found out and you could work towards it, but anytime you hide stuff, I mean, I didn't know nothing about the Griffin until I saw people on it, and I'm like, what the hell's this? So I don't like a lot of hidden stuff. I mean, if, I've never enjoyed hidden achievements and stuff. It's like, if it's an achievement or if it's a mount, I mean, let me know about it so I can work towards it. But that's just me.
Alright, so I'm going to close the stream up within 5 minutes. If anybody has anything they want to say now, chime in on anything from previous topics, theories, stories, blah blah blah, patch notes, whatever, they can say it now. We'll start with you, Lulu. Do you have anything you want to chime in?
Nope. No, I'm good. Thank you.
So you pretty much said your piece.
I have said my piece.
Mac, do you have anything you want to say, chime in before we head out?
The only other thing is when it comes to the sky scale.
Okay.
Attack it takes a while to get used to because where you land and where the attack is, two different things. And so I don't like that about the sky scale. Other than that, that's all I gotta say.
And Vermin, do you have anything?
Stay positive, have fun with the game. It's what you make of it. The good time is the good time you make, right?
That's right.
I see a lot of people crying about how hard it is to get the sky scale, and that just means to me that they need to get into the game more and learn how to play it better.
Get good?
I hate people who say get good, but that's, get good.
Even though I just literally said it. Get
I
good?
totally just said it.
Yeah, I know. And you guys are kind of joking around when you said it, but there's always that jerk who's like, get good, don't fall behind, blah, 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 whatever. It's only difficult because, you're no good at jumping puzzles or whatever, and you're only no good at jumping puzzles or whatever because you don't practice at it. So practice makes you good. So, get on the train, do it right, have fun.
I suck at jumping puzzles, and I've been doing it for years.
Speaking of jumping puzzles,
You tell me to get good?
the one jumping puzzle that I hated was the one in Ore where you had to collect the orbs. That's the one that I hated the most.
Yeah, that one's pretty tough.
All I have to say is Portal Rewind.
Total Rewind what?
Your mesmer buddy will always come to your rescue.
No. I'm talking about your personal position rewinder.
Oh, right.
You suck at jumping puzzles. I highly recommend you getting it.
Yeah, it's a vendor item, right?
Yeah. I don't remember where you picked it up exactly, but I swear by that thing. I'm doing a jumping puzzle. That thing's on.
Anything else, Vermin, or was that it?
Yeah, that's it. High five.
I'm probably going to chime in with something on the lines of the fact that I got my money's worth when Pathify came out. With when we were talking earlier about bounties and stuff. The fact that I got my money's worth out of it, even though I finished Pathify or whatever, and I was just like, you know what? I killed the game. What can I do? So I just started picking up bounties. I started learning the spawns or whatever, and I just made it a habit. That's all I gotta say right there. Oh, and Vermin, thanks for filling in for the third person.
Oh yeah, whatever. I'm just the extra around here.
I'll give you I'll give you top pay.
Oh.
That's two still.
It's my pleasure. I'm happy to host that.
It's 2 extra copper.
2 extra copies.
Just don't tell Jen. Alright, I'm gonna be ending the stream. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Hope to see you all as guests again sometime again within the coming weeks, months maybe.
As fresh some meta as possible.
And everybody that came and watched this, thank you.
This is Nem the Fearless, signing out.